DoorDash just dropped their Q4 earnings, longer distance deliveries, higher effort orders, DashMart and DashLink expansion, plus updates on DoorDash's autonomous Dot robot. Will it take away offers from you, the Dasher? All right, so I listened to the entirety of DoorDash's Q4 earnings call. And while, yes, a lot of this is related to earnings and growth, there were some things directly relevant to you and I as Dashers. Let's start with something that I still don't think a lot of Dashers have. So let me know if you even have this. You probably have DashMarts, those little convenience stores in your marketplace. You go there, you pick up someone's like snacks, whatever it may be, like random retail stuff, and then you deliver, right? A DashMart. But then DashLink, I don't think everyone has DashLink. I have it here in Pittsburgh. So that's like Amazon Flex, maybe GoPuff, where you go to a warehouse and then you get an entire route. So you have predictable pay for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it is. It shows you where you're going, which is nice. I like that more than Flex. But they announced in September of last year, 2025, expansions in that DashMart. It's going to have more fulfillment, so it's going to connect more merchants and their products to the DashMart. So speaking of DashMarts, I'm thinking in 2026, you're going to see more DashMart requests, higher volume. Is it going to be higher pay? I mean, there's base pay, there's promotional pay, and there's tips. I don't know if we'll necessarily see a boost in average payouts for DashMart runs. What do you think? There's nothing that really communicated that per se, but it'll give you possibly more options. So if you like DashMarts, or maybe you don't like DashMarts and you're going to avoid that area, if you're not by a DashMart, like relatively close, most likely you're not going to receive DashMart runs. So that's one thing to do if you're not a fan of the DashMarts. But here, Tony mentioned already 30% of their customer base is ordering outside of restaurants. And this is no secret. This is all I do here. I follow this gig economy for you. We saw it with the new verticals, with grocery, with convenience, with alcohol, with pets. And DashMart is kind of like that. It's not restaurant. So if you think kind of like what I see here in Pittsburgh with our DashMart here, if wait times are less possibly, then again, you might like more DashMarts. Conversely, if it's the opposite, you might avoid again those DashMarts. And next, possibly one of the biggest flags that I don't think a lot of Dashers honestly are thinking about it, not to this degree, unless you're completely affected right now, unless you're in one of the marketplaces with these autonomous vehicles. And it can be drone, they're already doing that, drone delivery, but then their internal Dot robot. And again, I know it's a kind of a big concern for a lot of Dashers, but some are doing this casually. Some, they don't even really realize this is going on in the background because Dot is not in their marketplace. They were asked about their strategic autonomous delivery platform, what that's going to look like in the near term, in 2 to 3 years. So if you didn't know, there's 2 parts to this. There is a algorithmic, like how your offers are sent. That is going to be changing. It's going to be using this autonomous delivery platform where like the AI and the algorithm are going to determine the best medium for the offer. The medium is how are we making the delivery? It might be you and I, the physical Dasher, but it might be drone. It might be the Dasher, the Dot robot. So Tony mentioned here, autonomy, it's really a fleet of different vehicles, like I mentioned, by land and by air. And some are built by DoorDash, like the Dot robot, and some are built by others, like the partnerships that they've had with the drone deliveries. And here Tony mentioned it's really them trying to orchestrate all of this stuff as far as who gets those deliveries, right? And he said it's not immediately apparent to him that AVs, drones or dots, would necessarily do every type of order. Let me repeat that. He said he didn't necessarily feel like right now AVs would do every type of order. And I paused there. So he detailed here, okay, Well, the Dot robots might be better in certain landscapes, even in very rural suburban marketplaces. Maybe you can let me know if you're in a metro, suburban, or rural marketplace, because Tony was asked about that as well. What about AVs and Dots in rural marketplaces? And he said, well, in that case, drones might actually be better because they can travel faster in the air and it just might make more sense. What about this scenario though? Because I really want to consider this for AVs that might actually reduce headaches or maybe even make you more money. Because Tony detailed here, okay, Dashers might take some deliveries, but maybe the Dot or AVs might take deliveries that you don't want to do. And or a Dasher takes deliveries that Dot or AVs aren't well equipped to do. If there's human decision making, let's say shops, right? Like Dot can't shop right now. So if that's your favorite thing to do, then you most likely won't be affected in a negative way from AVs. What about low dollar runs, non-tipping offers? Because if you didn't know, you can't even tip the Dot robots. And it'll say in there, you can put preference for Dots. And if you get Dot, it'll refund the customer the tip. And then on the order screen for the customer, it says you can't, if you select the Dot to begin with, you can't even tip that. But then there's the argument of, okay, what's the adoption rate? What's the take rate gonna be on Dots and AVs? If customers know they can save some money there, $5, $10, whatever it is, on the tip by not having to do that. But will they want to exit the house, exit the building, whatever it is, to receive their delivery? And that's what Tony said. That's their goal for 2026. So if you do not have AVs, drones, or Dot in your marketplace, let me know. But if you're in Arizona, and I believe Texas with the drone deliveries at least, if you're in marketplaces that are already affected, have your earnings been affected? This next part was interesting because it might go into your bonus pay, incentives, sign-on bonuses, referrals, other things, even base pay, frankly, Dasher costs, and how much DoorDash is spending on that. Here, their CFO, Ravi Unaconda, highlighted just costs at large, and specifically the Dasher costs. But I think it was interesting that he cited the winter storm that we had recently. And I don't know how wide reaching this is, but he cited $20 million from the winter storm. I assume that had to have been the recent storm that we had in the last month here, because I know for a lot of marketplaces across the East Coast, you can let me know even down south, if you were affected by this winter storm Fern, they shut down operations entirely. So $20 million, I mean, was that literally from a day of closed operations? So what do I expect as someone who started Dashit in 2018? I've done gig work since 2015. In 2026, right? We have almost 9 million Dashers globally here. Now, they did say a lot of international markets are growing faster than US markets, albeit US markets had really record quarters here. So the US is growing fast, just some of these international markets are growing even faster. I think this year we will see more, I hope, honestly, more DashLink. I like those warehouses. I like the predictability. I'm going to test more DashLink routes, so make sure to subscribe, like this video so you can see what a route is like on DashLink. As long as the pay is fair, I mean, that's the main thing we all care about. I think it could be better than Flex. Frankly, I think it is right now. The current iteration is better than Flex, as long as there's no glitches and stuff. I've had to deal with that before. DashMart and that whole fulfillment thing, they announced at their Dash Forward event in September. I think you will see slightly more offerings from DashMarts. I'm kind of wondering the footprints of just warehouse space. I mean, I'm thinking of the warehouse here in Pittsburgh. Are they going to expand physically, like bigger warehouses? Because if they're providing much more inventory and fulfillment from these merchants, you might start to see that as well. So if you start to see a new, bigger DashMart location, then subsequently you would think more DashMart offers. AVs, I still don't think that AVs are going to expand very quickly. Now, the markets that they're already in, really just in kind of the Arizona area right now, those Dashers need to closely monitor the two things I talked about. How many offers are you getting since Dots came to your marketplace? And then what is it doing to your earnings? Are they taking like lower dollar offers? And then over the next 3 to 5 years, we'd have to watch customer behavior, average tips. Is Dots and drones and whatnot building less of a tipping culture, possibly on DoorDash? Zero talk about getting rid of Dashers. I didn't hear anything like that at all at their Dasher Roundtable event. I'll leave a playlist linked to that Roundtable event. I think 2026, yes, Dasher supply is strong, but also we've always seen new growth in new verticals. So not just restaurant, which are of course always growing the restaurant basis here, but the grocery, new partners, the retail, new partners, alcohol, new partners. I've done more and more alcohol here in Pittsburgh, which is non-restaurant delivery, and they're typically always ready. They just got to pull it off the shelf here, and it's been really easy. So more and more earnings opportunities. I think areas of improvement this year, we have new things like in-home delivery. I'll leave a video link to that one as well, where you can go inside a customer's home for like grocery delivery to finish the delivery and just like drop it off on a table or something inside, and you get an extra like $1 to $3 or whatever it is. We've seen earnings offers that didn't really expand, at least not yet, like the round trip deliveries. We've seen features that, here's an improvement point, that are a great idea. I think we just need more traction on it, like flash offers. You know about flash offers? Probably. If not, again, definitely subscribe here. Flash offers, which came to Pittsburgh, maybe like you. I mean, you can let me know how many of these you've gotten. I turn it on and I got one flash offer like a month or whatever it was after it came to Pittsburgh, and then absolutely nothing. Actually, let me check right now if it's still on. I'm sure it is. Flash offers is under preferences if you have it, and yep, it is still on. My availability is still set, and I've only received ever one. So stuff like that. If we're going to bring it to the Dasher app, let's make sure it's got to be a little bit more robust than that. Biggest takeaways, like I mentioned, DashMart, DashLink, the AVs, new offer, I guess types, like incentives, like we talked about, in-home delivery and stuff like that. But it all comes down to your pay. So 2026, what do we think? Is it going to get better, worse, going to stay the same here? Have you just started? Have you been dashing for a while? How is your marketplace performing?